Hey, it's due and it's time for a book haul. Uh, Thrift store. I'm really proud of myself. I have a bookshelf and it was full of things that are kind of like backup things that I think I no longer need because, you know, I'm empty nesting. And so I cleared it all off and donated it. So that means I have more room for books and I don't know really like at what point I'll ever stop hauling as many books as I have been. I'm hoping that it'll happen quite naturally because right now I just kind of feel like an out of control addict. But um, so that I dropped them off at a thrift store and then I went in and I said, "There's no way that I'll limit myself," and I did. I only got a couple of books, but I did get a couple of books. Then I went around to little free libraries and did all my on hauls. It was not a one-to-one, but I still almost hauled as much as I unhauled in little free libraries. And then another friends of the library just mania situation. So first and foremost, look at this little basket that also was full of other things that I've donated. And this is what I've done with my, I just set it up. It's like there's some space underneath my built-in bookshelf on the floor. And on the other side of this too, there's all of this. And then on the other side of this, there's more built-in bookshelf. And so I thought it would be cute to do a little like display basket there. And I just used the books that I hauled from the thrift store and the little free library. So let's just show you what they are really quickly. Because why not? And then I'll arrange them back into this basket. So this I did get at the thrift store. This is Godwin by Joseph O'Neill. And this book is about soccer. And the setting, I believe, is Africa. It was about an African soccer prodigy. Oh, no, it's about two brothers crossing the world to find the African soccer prodigy. Sorry, that was a long, awkward sentence. One of the qualifications I had for hauling books from the thrift store is that they have to be after 2020. I don't believe that that's any kind of qualifier, but I just know that I have more older than 2020 books and wanted, especially if I'm doing contemporary, more access to contemporary. It also has a cute little note inside, which I'm going to keep as its bookmark. Okay, then True Biz by Sarah Novick. And obviously this was a Reese's book club pick, which doesn't mean a whole lot to me, but I believe this takes place in a school of the deaf. Yeah. Celeste Ng gave it a little blurb of props here in the front. And sure, I have never read any set of fiction set in School of Deaf. And I have high hopes that it's informative, educational, respectful, and entertaining. Outlawed by Anna North, also a Reese's book club pick. Okay, I went back and forth. Like, do I want this book? Do I not want this book? Do I want this book? And okay, queer Western, like outlaw Western, I can do it. Like Sapphic. I think I want to give this a shot, and I want it to be maybe a little, I want it to be maybe a little Tom Robbins-esque in my mind. That's what's going to happen. A little kind of tongue-in-cheek satire-y, making fun of the genre perhaps, but it could literally just be the genre with like using all of the tropes of the sort of like outlaw Western genre and having queer characters. So we shall see. The front tells me it's going to be more, maybe my first guess. All right. Free Love by Tessa Hadley. I believe it was a little free library find, and it's about free love in the 70s in London. And I thought it could be interesting, maybe somewhat feminist, maybe a little bit historical fiction, but in sort of like contemporary fiction for the 1960s historical fiction type work. Yeah, I thought I would give it a try. Oh yeah, the Guncle in a little free library. Okay, I've heard about the Guncle, and I know it's some kids, they go live with their uncle, and he's a little bit eccentric, maybe film star. And why he's called the Guncle, I don't know. This says to me fun, thrilling, fun, light. And I have some pretty heavy reads that I've encountered lately for in lots of ways, and so I continue to be really compelled to get some more light or cozy on my shelf. So that's what that was about. I know you know stories by Peter Kispert. Who I am. I know you know who I am. This is an arc. You know how I feel about arcs. This is a Little Free Library. This is short stories, I believe, about coming out. Yeah. And I think, yeah, I've read several short stories recently, so I'm okay to haul some short stories. I don't want to overhaul them because they're not really my jam, but I think once or twice a month to make sure that a short story gets on one of my TBRs, I think that's a really good plan for me. And the topic is interesting for me. The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender. Look at how beautiful this book is. And that title, I expect from this some really sort of like poetic type prose, maybe dreamy type prose. And I think this has a vibe to be maybe a fantasy or maybe magic realism. I'm not sure. Again, I don't really try to know that much about books. I try to experience, like, read a like one paragraph at the beginning, middle, or end, and just see if I kind of like the writing style, or maybe I read the synopsis, or maybe I just say that's a beautiful book. It's free in a Little Free Library. Let me give it a try. If I get it home and find out more about it and I don't want it, it just goes back into the unhaul, into the Little Free Library pile. The Cat Who Saved the Library by Sosuke Natsukawa. It's a cozy, of course. It's one of those, now I've read several Japanese style cozies. It has French flaps, and definitely I think I have some dystopia coming up in my reading future for what I'm going to be. I think December just kind of feels like dystopia December for me. And I definitely need some cozy to go along with dystopia. The Known World by Edward P. Jones. This is a Pulitzer winner, a modern classic, and I'm sure I've read it before. Yeah, I have some memories of what it's about, but I don't want to think about that too much. We'll see what comes up when I do get to read this book. This feels like a fantastic Black History Month pick. So maybe around February. I really do like this edition too. Yeah, from a Little Free Library. And then finally, I'd seen this one in the Little Free Library before and passed it up a couple times and decided to go ahead and grab it this time. It's The Family Meal by Brian Washington, and this is an arc. And I think this is about two friends and grief. Yeah, two male friends in LA, and they might be dealing with some kind of loss. Yeah, that's what I got about this. I love the color choices on this book. I don't know what the final copy looks like. Maybe this, maybe something else. But again, it was my Little Free Library pick. And those, sometimes I honestly go back through my books and decide, no, I'm not reading it, or I'm not, like, it doesn't seem, I was more willing to be experimental in the Little Free Library books, and then I just kind of put them back out into Little Free Libraries without very much fuss. That being said, I have read a lot, and every one of my sort of weekly reading TBRs has a few, at least, Little Free Library books in them. So I continue to have fantastic experiences with Little Free Libraries, where I also unhaul all of my books, except for sometimes they do make donations to the Friends of the Library or my actual friends and loved ones. But other than that, all my books get unhauled out into those Little Free Libraries. And I continue to be really grateful and give, good books and get good books back. So I wanted to show you my tote. Isn't it fantastic? Okay, that's a Friends of the Library tote. And they got me to get a tote and a whole bunch of books. The amount of guilt I go through every time really reminds me of addiction. And I think I do have to do some, at least self-driven cognitive behavioral therapy around this, because either I have bookshelves, which I do, and I'm happy to fill them and donate a little bit of money to the Friends of the Library in exchange for books, or I am over consuming and I need to really figure out where I land on that. Anyway, this is Grand Swiss Mothering Sunday. It's a Booker winner. It was $1. This is The Shadow Lies by Amitav Ghosh. I have, here is my Amitav Ghosh. There's Flood of Fire and Sea of Poppies. That makes me feel like they're part of a series. And I think The Shadow Lines is at least of a different series. For some reason, those felt kind of big and beautiful, and I keep not reading them. So I think I'm going to try to get to this sooner rather than later, and this might be, because I haven't read any Amitav Ghosh yet. I'm just, collecting his beautiful books. This one, definitely, I can't do that font. It's not got enough white around it. It goes right to the margin, and yes, and it's quite small. So I will have to make sure that this exists, that I can check it out from a library, digitally or audibly. Oh, Layla Lalami, The Moor's Account. I read The Secret Sun by Layla Lalami. I have her 2025, The Dream Hotel, which I was so excited to find, because it was like a super hype book at the time, and I found it and I haven't read it yet, which is also fine. I don't have to read books when they're hyped. I really liked The Secret Sun. I really like Layla Lalami's writing style. This says it's a Pulitzer Prize finalist, so I don't know if it was the author or the book, because their marketing is a little deceptive in that. But perhaps this book, it's a beautiful book. It is a little bunged up, and somebody has a little color scheme. They were gonna paint something and use that as a bookmark, which I find all very compelling. The Wind Up Girl by Paolo Bacigalupi. This is fantasy, and the setting is Thailand. It won the Hugo and Nebula Award, which I believe, I'm not hip on the fantasy awards, but I've seen, I think it was A Long Way to an Angry Planet. I think I saw that sticker on that, which I read, and I enjoyed that. That was a very homage to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy kind of book. So I felt really compelled. This was misplaced. There is a little fantasy shelf at this bookstore, and this was on general fiction. And so I was actually going to go put it where it belonged. I was like, maybe I want that book. And again, I keep getting fantasy. I shouldn't be hauling fantasy that I'm paying for, because I keep getting fantasy and then not really reading fantasy. Pizza Girl by Jean Young Fraser. I just put this on my future reads. I heard a little review of this little whammer of it's a bit unhinged. I think there's a obsession in this book kind of situation, and I saw it was a different edition, but I saw a cute little review of it and I put it on my future reads, and then there it was in the Friends of the Library bookstore. So it is now mine. I feel like this has to be on display at some point in something. This cover is doing a lot that I really love. Oh my goodness. Can you believe that Flights by Olga Tokarczuk? Yeah. There it is. Brand new edition of beautifully kept soft back book of this story. Yeah. $3. That's what they charge at my Friends of the Library bookstore. And I thought this was just this, of course, I grabbed it the second I saw it, almost hoardingly, oh, somebody else is going to see this and want it. Andrew Miller's Pure. It's obviously a Costa Best Novel Award in 2011. Is Costa an Irish prize? People who know, maybe know. Definitely Irish feel to this book. And this is a Europa Press. And I kind of definitely always have the French flaps. I'm almost if I see a French flap, if I see a Europa Press, It's almost like a go-to grab, and at some point I might rethink my shelves. I don't have very many, like 5 or 6. Maybe I will put them all together. Right now everything's alphabetized by last name of the author, and that feels tidy and organized and easy for me to then find what I'm looking for if I'm looking for something. But I do have some display situations going on, and the aesthetics of these books I really like. Okay, for the hardbacks. Lessons by Ian McEwan. I wanted this book because of its cover. We're just going to say that. I think Ian McEwan has earned enough sort of accolades as an author. I haven't read him that I can remember right now. This is Second World War book. So, I thought about it. I had another pick too. It was also Second World War. And I just chose this because of the cover. And I am a Deckled Edge fan. Not everybody is, but I am. And yeah, I think this is a more recent book, maybe 2022 as well. Yeah, that's why I chose the book. It's the cover and the deckled edges, and an author that I don't remember reading and want to try. Hamnet is about to be made into, they had a copy of Hamnet. I had a discussion of Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell with the volunteers at the Friends of the Library store. And I was like, this book's about to get really popular again because it's being made into an adaptation, and that will, there'll be another launch or edition or something. But also with Hamnet, which is going to be read by me probably in December. I honestly think I will read Hamnet in December. Beat the hype or with the hype or whatever. But The Marriage Portrait is another of Maggie O'Farrell's novels. I'm going to think it's also sort of historical fiction. Yeah, Florence 1550s. And I don't see myself not liking Hamnet, but who knows? Like, you don't know until you get into a book. And I don't see myself not liking Maggie O'Farrell from what I know. Again, who knows? This kind of period fiction works sometimes for me and doesn't, but it's great to have the kind of diversity. This apparently is a Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. So there's that. Like, did anyone ever read this book? There isn't a flaw on this book. It's not got its spine has not been cracked in any way at all. that being said, I don't want to, that does not mean somebody didn't read it. I have the physical books and I don't crack the spines. I spend a lot of time in the audio or digital and less time in the physical book, so I don't have to do that. So I'm going to once I read this and put it back out into the ecosystem of the Little Free Library of Friends of the Libraries, somebody's going to say the same, and it will have been read by me at least. How to Find Your Way in the Dark. Okay, I've heard good reviews of this from reviewers that I like. This is by Derek B. Miller. It's World War II. I'm sure it's World War II. Well, not leading up to. So, 12-year-old Sheldon is recovering from a tragic loss of his mother in a suspicious traffic accident which takes the life of his father. Okay, he's recovering from the mother. Something takes the life. A suspicious traffic accident takes the life of his father. And it's 1938 in rural Massachusetts. I mean, what are we going to say? World War II. And how this person in a little place in Massachusetts is finding his way in the world and in the dark. This was published in 2023, so I decided to, I decided to give it a try because it does fit in. I'm trying to haul more contemporary, books published more recently. And then finally, A Golden Age by Tamima Aman. Also saw a review on this. There's another book also by this author. I believe this is historical fiction. Tamima Aman is from Bangladesh. She's Bangladeshi. And this, I think, is a historical fiction of the forming of the time in which Bangladesh was being formed. I think she's written another book. So this is her debut, and I think that there's another one after this. But, you know, I don't know if, like, you should trust me on that. I don't know if my haul videos are really to inform you so much about books, but maybe make you curious as I am, make you think about what's out there, especially since all of these were hauled. Like, the most I spent on a book was $4, and many were less or free. And this is a beautiful, beautiful book. I have a display that kind of has books with motifs like this, and I'm planning on reading one of them in December maybe, so this would be a really spectacular replacement for that display book, because this motif will be lovely with those books with motifs. So yeah, I am thinking about what my book displays look like as much as how and what I'm going to read. So there you have it. It's a lot, and I read a lot. So until my next ranty, guilty haul video, actually the next video is going to be what I'm going to add to my TBR from my piles of possibilities. We're mid-November now, and I have some things are coming up that had been on hold for a while, which I don't have physical copies of. I bumped a few things or reorganized a couple things, and then I want to make sure that my 10 Until the End books that I was pretty committed to make sure that I read are getting read. So I'm going to think about what's getting on my these are like a committed TBR shelf off of Pile of Possibilities, and make a video about that in the next day or so. Till then, bye.